So the line has been jumping up and down. It's inside of 3, so you can expect that. It's not as crazy as it seems, but the Jets, as we record this, are 1.5 point favorites. The total is 37.5. So not expecting great weather here, obviously. Trevor Lawrence looks like he's going to go, but he was on the injury report. Mike White looks like he's not going to go. It's going to be Zach Wilson again. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, it doesn't look like Mike White's going. I would make the Jets. I have these teams pretty close to even now. Jags have been trending up, and then if you give the Jets, home field advantage, short week, maybe close to about a point and a half here. But then I have a couple point downgrade from White to Zach Wilson, who was just terrible last week. I mean, he completed a couple deep balls, but they were underthrown, and it was just throw it up, and his receiver made plays. Some of the throws he missed underneath. Some of the throws he just threw it up in the air. Awful pick. It basically cost him the game himself last night against Pumpkin Goff, who didn't play well. I mean, the Lions had, I don't know, 7 to 10 offensive points total. So yeah, I would make Jacksonville a very small favorite here. So I do show a little bit of value in the Giants, but it's not enough to get involved. I may end up teasing them. I think this is a good teaser spot. If now that the line has gone up to -1.5 on the Jets, you have a really low total here. It's going to be cold out, and it's just a really fascinating matchup. You have Zach Wilson, who's horrendous against a bad secondary, and then you have Trevor Lawrence, who's playing really well against a good secondary. So it's kind of like strength on strength and weakness on weakness. What's going to ultimately be the difference? We'll see if the Jags can back up a big win at home on the road. Last time we saw them they beat the Ravens at home in comeback fashion, and then they went, I think, to Detroit and laid a complete egg. Young team, inexperienced team, a little inconsistent, but this game is pretty big for both teams. The Jags now, I think, are going to win the division. I have a plus 750, and the Titans under 9.5. It looks like might hit as well. I think the Jags are now favored to win the division. And if they win this game, they're in really good shape. So I think both teams might play a little tight. It's going to be cold early, big game. So, I don't know if I could go under this low of a number. I don't show too much value there. But now that the line is ticked up with Zach Wilson, I don't understand why. Just like last week, the Jets took, the line moved 3 points after Zach Wilson, initially moved back and then it kept moving. But now that you can tease the Jags over a touchdown with a total this low, I think that you have to look at the Jags here. But it's ultimately, to me, this is a coin flip game.
Yeah. For what it's worth, you mentioned that Trevor Lawrence kind of going on the road and struggling. They did have that win against the Titans, obviously, but generally, this is where the inconsistency kind of shows up more. He is just 4-11 against the spread on the road, 2-5 this year. So for whatever reason, these kind of spots have been the ones where they haven't covered, and usually he doesn't play as well. So take that for what you may. But yeah, I got nothing on this one. I think the Jags are probably the right side, but again, just Trevor Lawrence seems to struggle on the road, and it is a good defense. So it could kind of come down to something silly like another one of these special teams play, or Zach Wilson doing something like, how stupid is what Zach Wilson's going to do? Is it going to cost him the game, or is it just going to cost him a drive? So I don't know.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of great teaser pieces this week. We'll get to them in our teaser section. So if you're looking for action, and the reason that there's a lot of dogs around, between 1 and 3 with really low totals, where points are really going to be at a premium. So if you are looking for some action, I think the best bet here, we'll have some prop content out on Action Network app, but is to tease the Jags here up over a touchdown. And I will get into potential pieces that you could pair them with in our teaser section later on.
Yeah. And to your point about the under, I am showing a bunch of trends on the under for what it's worth. Thursday night football unders with a total of 40 or less are 21-7 over the last couple of decades, 75%. Primetime unders that move down at least 1.5 points are 77 and 48, 62% since 2015. And when you have at least 8 mile per hour winds and higher humidity, 77 plus, which looks like it's showing for now. Since 03, those are hitting at a 61% clip and 61% this year as well. So a lot of things point to the under as well. But yeah, it's such a low total that I agree. I think if you take the Jags, plus up to plus 7.5, they should be able to keep this one close, even if they don't end up getting the win.